Welcome to Commerce Classes. Today we'll be understanding insolvency of a partner and the effect of insolvency on the partner's ability to pay firm's debts or his private debts. Like till now, what we have done is that when we close the books of a firm at the time of its dissolution, then we simply balance the partners' accounts and they are to either bring money into the firm or they are paid cash by the firm depending upon their balances. But in reality, it may happen that a partner may not be in a position to pay off his liabilities. Like the partner is insolvent. So, how will this insolvency affect the accounting in the books of the firm? So this is what we are going to study today. Now, insolvency is basically a condition where a person is not able to pay off his liabilities out of his assets. That is, a person is adjudicated as insolvent when he is not able to pay his liabilities in full out of the money being realized from his assets. So in case you are able to pay your liabilities in full, then you are solvent. But if you are not able to pay your liabilities, the person is referred as insolvent. But when we talk about liabilities, then in respect of a partner, a person who is a partner in a firm, he has two type of liabilities. One is his personal liabilities, his private liabilities, which he has incurred or which he has taken in his personal capacity. And another is his liabilities towards the firm. Now, how do we know that a person is having some liability towards the firm? Just pause this video for a while and go through the whole process of dissolution and just consider, how do we know that a person is to pay something to the firm? Liabilities. So I'm continuing. So what happens is, when we prepare partner's capital account, if the difference is coming on the debit side, that is his credit amounts are higher than the debit, that is his drawings and losses are lesser and his capital, his share in profits, reserves, etc. is more. So in a way his claim is more, so firm is supposed to pay him. So this is called final payment. So herein the person is not having any liability towards the firm, rather he will be getting money from the firm. Whereas if a partner is having, say, a lesser of capital and he is having more of his drawings or his share in losses is more, in that case the difference will be coming on the credit side. That is, you have more losses, so now you will have to make up for the loss, so you need to bring money into the firm. So this is called final receipt. That is, the partner is to bring this money. So this is partner's liability towards the firm. So this is the difference of his debit and credit when credit side is lesser. So debit minus credit, that is his liability towards the firm. This is the amount that partner is required to bring. Okay, so there will only be one possibility. Either partner will be bringing amount into the firm or the partner will be paid by the firm. So when we talk about partner's assets, this includes his personal assets plus the amount that he is going to receive. But out of these two, we'll be having only one option, one choice will be there. Rather, we'll say it's not a choice, but there will only be one possibility. Either you are to pay to the firm or firm is paying you. So it is either the situation here, debit difference, difference on the debit side or the difference on the credit side. So insolvency is relevant in the books of the firm when the partner is to bring money into the firm, isn't it? So when we talk about insolvency, then there are two stages here: insolvency outside the firm and insolvency inside the firm. So outside the firm means in his personal respect. So if the person is not able to pay his personal liabilities, so the partner is having some liabilities, if he is not able to pay his personal liabilities, then the person is referred as insolvent outside the firm. And when a person is not able to pay his liabilities towards the firm, that is, he is to bring money into the firm and he cannot bring it, then he is referred as insolvent inside the firm. So this is your liability. Now see, this is a very simple procedure. If we understand it, we cannot put it in a step by step format. So in order to pay your personal liabilities, you need to utilize your personal assets first. So the person will be selling off all his assets, he will pay off his personal liabilities. Once his personal liabilities are fully settled, then if any balance is left, then the person can use it to pay off the firm's liabilities. Like a person might have to bring, say, 5,000 rupees here. Now he'll sell off his liability assets, he'll pay off his personal liabilities, and if he's having sufficient money, he can bring this balance. That is, in order to pay his liabilities towards the firm, the person needs to first of all pay his personal liabilities. So if his liabilities are more and he cannot bring the complete amount, then he will be referred as insolvent inside the firm. But if he is not able to pay even his personal liabilities, then he is insolvent outside the firm also. Now on the other hand, when you are working within the firm, then within the firm what happens is that the person might be having share in firm's assets. And what is his share in firm's assets? It is his credit balance, which is higher than the debit balance. That is, firm is to pay him. Now when the firm is to pay him, then he can utilize this to pay his personal liabilities. So this money can be used also. So we need to see the respective scenario, that is his position outside and inside the firm, and then we can judge in what cases the person is insolvent within the firm. Now please remember, since we are working in the books of the firm, okay, so whatever is the person's position outside the firm, this is not relevant for us. What is relevant for us is his position inside the firm. If he is insolvent inside the firm, then we'll have to account for his insolvency. But if he is not insolvent, he is solvent here, then whatever is his position, whether solvent or insolvent, that is immaterial to us, because we are not working for him, we are working for firm. So let us understand this with a few examples. Now suppose this is his position, this is a position of three partners. Now A is having difference coming on the debit side. That means the firm is to pay to him. So when the person is to be paid by the firm, it means inside the firm he is not insolvent, right? Within the firm he is solvent because he is not to bring anything. Insolvency arises when you are not able to pay your liabilities, but within the firm he doesn't have a liability. A has money coming out from the firm, so he is not insolvent inside the firm. But outside the firm he may be solvent or insolvent. Like his personal assets are, say, 15,000 and his liabilities are 2,000. That means he can pay off his liabilities. Like his position is 15,000 his assets plus 10,000 he will get from firm, isn't it? So out of the total he can pay his liabilities in this case. In the second case also it is possible to pay his liabilities, but now in the third case he cannot pay his liabilities. So outside the firm, in the first two cases he is not insolvent, but in the third case, yes, he is insolvent. But this is not material to us. Please remember, we are to work only for the firm. But yes, we need to know all the scenarios. Now what is the position of B? B is having 10,000 here, but from the firm he is to bring 2,000. That is, his liability is 2,000 towards the firm. Now what do you say, that out of his assets should we pay towards the firm? No, the rule says that out of his assets, first of all the person is to pay his personal liabilities, and then if any money is left, then he can pay his liability towards the firm. So in the first case, when he is having liabilities of 3,000, so he will be left with 7,000 rupees of cash. So obviously he can pay this liability. So the person is not insolvent outside the firm as well as inside the firm. Now in the second case, when his liabilities are, personal liabilities are 9,000. Out of 10,000 he can pay 9,000. Fair enough, isn't it? So outside the firm he is not insolvent. But when it comes to the payment of liability towards the firm, he is just having 1,000 rupees left, which implies he cannot pay his full amount. So yes, now he is insolvent inside the firm, and this is the scenario which is relevant for the firm. Now in the third case, when liabilities are 12,000, he cannot pay outside liabilities, and since nothing is left here, he cannot pay anything towards this point also. So yes, he is insolvent in the third case in the firm also. So in these cases we will have to account for this. Herein we won't be bothered. We are not working for A, B or C. We are working for firm. So whatever is relevant for the firm, we will have to look up for that. Now the third case is that C is having 12,000 of assets, but they fetched him only 8,000. So this amount is not material. You are able to get only 8,000. So this is relevant. Now you will pay first of all your personal liability 2,000. So you will be left with 6,000. Now you have liability towards firm. That is 5,000. C is to pay 5,000 towards the firm. So out of 6,000 he can pay. That means both inside and outside the person is solvent, so he is not insolvent. So insolvency's case doesn't arise at all. Now in the second case, if he pays 6500 of his personal liabilities, he will be left with 1500. So now if he wants to pay his liability towards firm, he cannot pay it in full. He can pay only 1500, he cannot pay the balance. So this means that outside the firm he is not insolvent, he is solvent, he can pay his liabilities. But yes, inside the firm he is insolvent, he cannot bring how much? 3500, right? Now in the third case, 9000, you have only 8000 with you, you cannot even pay this. That means you are insolvent outside the firm also. But whether you are insolvent outside the firm, this is not material. We are not working for this. Though we need to judge this scenario, because ultimately we want to know what is his situation inside the firm. Because outside he is insolvent, that means he cannot bring anything towards his liability. So yes, he is insolvent. Within the firm, he cannot bring anything. He is bringing nothing. Now what happens when a person becomes insolvent inside the firm? Now when you are insolvent inside the firm, these are the striking points here. So herein the insolvency is established, and the person needs to you need to account for this insolvency. Like here in this case, when you are not able to bring the full amounts. Now till now, when we were closing the books, then we were simply calculating the balance, and we were saying it is received, it is paid. But not now. When the partner has become insolvent inside the firm, he cannot bring this money. Like here in this case, if I take this case, you see he can bring only 1000. So you cannot write here that he is bringing 2000. He can bring only 1000. Now 1000 is left in his account. Now how will we adjust it? So this is referred as capital loss. Now let us take this case of C. Okay, now C is having 1500 with him, so you can only get 1500 from him. So you are having a loss of 3500. This is his capital loss, which he is not able to bring. So what will happen now? How to deal with this loss? Now since it is a loss, as a rule losses are shared or borne by the partners. But now one of the partners has become insolvent. Let us consider say only case of B. Okay, so B is insolvent, he cannot bring 1000. Now who is going to share this loss? So we have A and C here, so they should share this loss, isn't it? So while doing the insolvency problems, we'll have to first establish whether there is an insolvency inside the firm, because it is only this case which will be relevant to us. We are working in the books of firm, so if in the firm the partner is insolvent, then we'll account for him. Okay, so this is the same table that I have brought here. So the insolvency is relevant for accounting in the books of firm when number one, partner is having liability. Because if you are not to bring anything into the firm, then how does it matter whether you have 50,000 nothing or negative balance, isn't it? When you do not have to bring anything. So the very first condition is that in the books, if you have any liability towards the firm, and secondly you are not able to bring that amount, then only the person is referred as insolvent inside the firm, and then we need to account for this. Now when the partner is not able to bring full amount, like here in this case, if we say that he can bring only 1500, so this is the remaining amount that he cannot bring. So for the firm it is a loss, it's a capital loss which is arising out of insolvency. I am taking the case of C, last case, right? Because he was to bring 5000 and he can only bring 1500 here. Okay, so now insolvency gives rise to capital loss. Okay, so when we account for insolvency, we are to calculate capital loss, because this is the consequences. These are the consequences of insolvency, that we have got a capital loss in the account of insolvent partner. Capital loss is the amount that the partner cannot bring. Although I can give you a formula also, but we should try to understand the things in the right perspective, and then only we will remember. Okay, so we'll calculate capital loss. But now question arises, big question is, who is going to bear this loss? If I say that this is the loss of C, so A and B will bear the loss. Then another question is, in what ratio? Should they bear it in equal ratio? Should it be P&L ratio? Should it be capital ratio? What should be the ratio? isn't it? So this is a question which is very important to answer. Now when we look at our partnership act, there is nothing given. Okay, now as a rule, when nothing is available in our own laws, then we look forward to the British laws. So therein there was a very significant case which is always followed in case of insolvency. That was a case between Garner versus Murray, and their ruling is the guiding force for accounting for insolvency. So in case of insolvency, when nothing is available, nothing is given in the question, then we follow this ruling. Okay, now many a times it does happen that the partners foresee this situation, that in future if any of the partners become insolvent, then how to adjust that loss. So sometimes partners make a provision in the deed that there is a provision for sharing of capital loss. So if you make a provision in your partnership deed, then you will follow that provision. So if your question says that capital loss should be borne by the remaining partners in equal ratio, then it will be followed. But if nothing is given in the question, if nothing is given in the deed, you haven't included any provision, then we have to follow Garner versus Murray's ruling, right? So in the next video we'll be understanding Garner versus Murray's ruling, and then we will take up the practical problem to understand its working. So I hope the insolvency of a partner and its effect in accounting, its relevance in the accounting in the books of firm is clear to you. So stay learning and practicing. Stay happy. Thank you.